What's up, podheads? Tony here. As always, joined by Nate and Anthony. We're back with another In Real Time. We've got some stuff to recap this week. How you boys doing?
I'm doing good. And I just want to point out a comment someone made on the socials. They were like, isn't In Real Time just that it's streaming? It's like, well, it is streaming, but they must not listen to the podcast.
Yeah, no, I don't think they did listen. Yeah, that was on YouTube, right?
I think it was Twitter.
Was it Twitter? Oh, yeah, it was Twitter. Yeah,
it was on Twitter. But hey, we'll take the engagement. We love it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's the only engagement we ever get on Twitter anyway. So that and all the spams, baby. The Elon's got the spam people running loose.
Jeez. Yeah, there's something else I was going to point out too. Like if you're listening, you would know that in real time, there's a drink that's supposed to be plugged in there.
Yeah,
but there's another drink that could be plugged in there. Because every episode, I think since inception, we've always said, and I'm here as always.
That's true. Yeah.
As always, best day of the week. We're back. I mean, at least we're aware of it. Like we know.
Yeah. Always try to get better, right?
So this week, we're going to react. We're going to give our thoughts, as always, on some Metallica news. I'm sure everyone's heard of it. Metallica, speaking of back, Metallica is back. So they did three things, right? They released a song called Lux Eterna. I think that's how you pronounce it, Lux Eterna.
Mm-hmm.
They announced a new album called 72 Seasons, which is going to drop in April, and also announced a world tour. It's going to be called the M72 World Tour, which is going to run from April to September of next year. Support, I think it was like Pantera, Architects, Mammoth, is it WVH?
Yep.
Five Finger Death Punch, Ice Nine Kills. So pretty broad spectrum of openers. But big news. Where do you want to start? Want to start with the single?
Start with the song, because that's something we've all probably heard at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Turn the fucking drums down, Lars.
Were they weren't saying anger bad, were they?
No. I think the song's catchy. I kind of like it. I've listened to it probably 4 or 5 times now. I watched the video just before we got on tonight, and I do like it. It's like they're turned up on purpose. And sitting with my wife, who now is a little more in tune to this stuff, she's like, yeah, it feels like he's out front. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. He's been out front for however many years the band's been around. But it's everybody's going to jump to that, right? Because that's the Saint Anger story from all these years ago now. But I do like the song. I do think it's catchy. I think that it'll sound really cool live.
Yeah, I agree there. I think there's a throwback. And I think every Metallica album drops, it's always the same thing. Oh, dude, they're going back to the roots, throwback. But this one has that kind of fast tempo thing going on right out of the gate, which is cool. You know, Lars in the front, it is what it is. That is part of that signature sound. But also listening to the song, I realized it's nice to have a break with Metallica. Not that they're always, stuff down your throat, but like it's one of those bands where you're like, okay, I understand why this band takes their time, because if it was really consistent, if they were putting out records every 12 months like Korn or something like that, it might get a little stale. So as much as Metallica is consistent in their sound for the most part, there's enough time in between albums to make it somewhat fresh again. So that's good.
See, it's funny. You say like it's a throwback, and that was kind of the narrative online. Mm-hmm. It was kind of split. I'm of the mindset of I don't hear the throwback. A lot of people are like, this is like a throwback to Ride the Lightning. I don't hear that. I hear like Motorhead. I hear up-tempo Motorhead rocking, and I think it's solid, but I also think it aligns with my expectations. Like these guys are what, late 50s, 60s, they're pushing year 40.
Yeah.
Actually, they've been together for over 40 years. What else would I expect? You know?
Yeah. I get kind of load reload era from it, but that's me.
Yeah, it's more I don't hear the 80s throwback sound, but I think it blows doors on the Saint Anger stuff, the Lulu stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go there, but I don't hear the callback that some people are saying. But hey, this is just one song. Just one song of probably 12 to 15 songs. And
I think it's a good one to wet people's whistle. It gets you kind of excited. I read somewhere, a friend of the pod who we've had on before, Brian from Playlist Wars, he posted something about liking this better than the last couple of lead singles. So he's excited for the record. And I was like, that's a good way to look at it, because I think the last couple of records maybe didn't have the same buzz that this one does. And part of that's they've been around forever. Part of that's they're always kind of in the news, especially with social media being in your face. You can't really escape Metallica. But when they make news like this, where they're like, here's a song, an album's coming, and a world tour's coming, I'm excited for it, which is, I don't know that I've ever really been excited for a Metallica record. So kind of cool.
I echo that. I don't think, I think the hype machine is definitely there for this. And yeah, I don't think I've ever been excited for Metallica release. I mean, have only been 3 or 4 since I've been of age to be excited, but
Right.
yeah, I'm with you.
We weren't old enough for some of the ones that we would have been excited for had we been old enough.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm not excited because of the single.
Right.
Like, it's solid. It's solid.
I was excited when Death Magnetic came out because there was a little bit of a break there, and it was a return to form, after kind of a slump. So yeah, there's some truth. There's a lot of truth to that. Also, Metallica. It's funny, we did like that Grammys episode a few episodes ago, and this is like one of those bands, right? That like is a pillar of that category, and they're going to come back, and are they going to get nominated for this record? And it's kind of cool for us to talk about it as a precursor. Like, does it stand the test? Is it going to be, of the same caliber for their, existing catalog? Or do they just literally have this like pretty substantial formula that they just kind of replicate every 4 to 5 years? They definitely have a machine. Like you said, I think it just came out that they tour more than any other bands that's relevant, right?
That wouldn't surprise me, Nate. Like, if there was ever a band that's groomed for a Grammy, it's probably them. And not that's saying that, and I don't know the Grammy history with them. I'm sure they've won a bunch, but
not to Jethro Tull, apparently.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you're going way back again to that Jethro Tull, 1989, I think they lost. They also announced the tour, right? The record coming out in April, and then the tour starting right around when the record comes out. And they're playing everywhere. Right? They're going all over the world. They're going Amsterdam, Paris, Hamburg, Germany, et cetera, et cetera. They're playing in Foxborough, Mass for us in our neck of the woods. And I would imagine, Nate, they're hitting
SoFi.
LA. Yeah, they're playing SoFi, right? So they're playing all the big ones. And they're doing a couple of nights in each area, I think, right? I think I saw completely different sets from bands. From night to night, depending on when you go. So they want everybody to go twice, the best that they can. Get as much of that, catch as much of those dollars as they can coming through when they hit your town. So I don't think I'm gonna go, but at the same time, I wouldn't rule myself out. It's early August in Foxborough. I've never seen them, so like part of me is like, I gotta get down there.
I'm with you. And that was, I looked at the support for that. It's Pantera and Mammoth for the Foxborough Mass date. I've never seen him. I'd like to see him. Tickets will be through the roof. And of course, there's 2-day packages. And I don't know if you saw, I don't have it pulled up, but there's different tiers of like different experiences, like thresholds. And those are fucking buku bucks. And it doesn't surprise me. Like, we've said it on this podcast, no metal band or adjacent will ever be as big as Metallica in their prime. And like, their generation is still alive. And every generation below them, obviously, still alive. Like, these will sell out.
Yeah. And wait till Lars gets his hands on that dynamic pricing at Ticketmaster.
Oh shit! Yikes!
That motherfucker.
When do these go on sale? It's got to be fairly soon. They announced it, so they must go on sale pretty soon. It's probably today.
It's today.
Yeah.
It's today. As you're listening.
Yeah.
It's today. You missed the pre-sale. What were you doing?
Yeah,
Oh,
sold
damn.
out pre-sale. Fuck.
That's right. So what kind of final thoughts here? I mean, I'm still excited, right? I'm probably as excited after listening to the single, seeing the artwork, seeing the tour. I'm as excited as I was now as when all this was announced, and I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, same. I think it's refreshing to know, considering where the state of music is, that heavy music, for the most part, like you said, Metallica is cream of the crop. We obviously have the Metallica Slipknots of the world, but for the most part, like, this style of music is essentially a nostalgia play. So Metallica's still going at it, putting out new records. I mean, they've come close to breaking up a few times. I mean, James went to rehab 2019. I thought that was the end of the band. I thought that was going to be the demise of their future, but they came back. James got out of rehab. They're back together. So, it's multi-pronged. It's good music. It's a legacy act. So for us, it's, something that we can carry on the torch with that legacy, but also, knowing that they could call it quits any day, but they continue to go. So these festival bills, they won't be headlined by, bands that we make fun of the name. We can still say that there's bands on the bill that we can appreciate.
Yeah, I'm excited. I probably have spent the least amount of time with the band of the three of us, but that's not to say that you don't know Metallica songs. Like, I know a ton of Metallica songs just because they've been so everywhere for 40 years, really. I mean, this band doesn't, hell, they had the Stranger Things thing, right, where they used Master of Puppets, the solo, in the show last summer to sell records for Metallica, probably, and it worked. I mean, I had high school kids that I work with in my day job that knew Metallica now because of it. So it's like putting themselves out there to another group of fans.
They find a way to enter the conversation, whether it's Napster, whether it's lackluster albums, whether it's Stranger Things, whether it's a world tour. And hey, if you're on the fence of going, just remember the guitar tone in the Black Album, and you'll be like, all right, I want to see that live.
Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.